Please welcome Guerin Wagner for his presentation.
Alright, Chad, how do we get this thing on? Cool.
One moment.
Figure this out.
We'll cut it. Ignore the.
Alright, good afternoon, everyone. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Guerin Wagner. Just to give you a little bit of background about my talk before I start really diving into it. Originally, I am from Zionsville, Indiana. Lived there my whole life. Zionsville is about 25 minutes northwest of Indianapolis. So going into my senior year of high school, I had never heard of Grand Valley State. I had no idea it existed. I'd never heard of Grand Rapids. No idea what the west side of Michigan was. Never been to it before. Didn't really hear about Grand Rapids until my senior year. The head football coach came to my high school. Ended up getting recruited here to play football. Got a scholarship. Thought it was pretty cool. Came here. Beautiful campus. Loved the lake being right here. Really good education and everything. Decided to commit here. Didn't really realize at that time when you're 16, 17 years old what that's really gonna bring into your life. You know, we're so like high on life. Senior year in high school, maybe someone's where I was, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna go play football, have a blast. But making that decision and where you're gonna go to school, I mean, if you look back 4 years, I'm a senior right now, where you were at that point and what you thought was gonna happen and what actually happened is absolutely completely different. Especially for me with what happened. But just a little bit, so like I said, I'm a senior right now at Guerin State. I came in as actually a psychology major, and then I became a marketing major, and then I went back to psychology, and then I was psychology with a minor in marketing, and then my second semester, sophomore year, I decided to say, didn't really like either of them. I liked psychology, didn't really want to go get my PhD and do that, so I decided to move over to finance and marketing. That's what I have been, and I will be graduating here in April. So just a little bit of background. So kind of going into a little bit more to my freshman year and kind of how that was. So my freshman year here at Grand Valley, like I said, this was a completely new school to me. Didn't know a single soul here. I was part of the football team. So being part of the football team here is really interesting. It was a really good experience, and it was a really not good experience. So my freshman year, I got placed with about 100 other guys, and those were meant to be my best friends. So that's who I was around 24/7. I took the same classes. We all took gen eds. I was with them for all my meals. I was with them in the mornings. I was with them at nights for film and every little thing that you could possibly think of. So coming in here, like I thought I was, I came in as, oh, you know, I'm gonna start, do all this kind of stuff. You know, I didn't really realize the work that was behind it. I kind of came in as, I would say, a very cocky leader in a sense. So my freshman year, this little story. If any of you heard Matt Judon, he played football here. He now plays for the Baltimore Ravens. That was my first rep ever here at Grand Valley State, and I thought I could absolutely murder him. And that did not go over well. I really struggled my freshman year in football. Didn't play overly well. It really humbled me, I would say, a lot. And just on top of that, and not really knowing what I was going to do in school, really what I was passionate about. You know, I was focusing all my time in football. It wasn't really going well, which then was reflecting on school, and at the same time I was being surrounded by and only around these 100 guys, and I was with them all the time. I wasn't really, I would say, getting the best out of myself in a sense, you could say. So that was kind of my freshman year, a lot of ups and downs in a sense, but kind of turning around now. Going more into football at Green Valley, I'd say it's very different. I would say the highs were, like I said, it'll really teach you how to humble yourself. It'll really teach you time, discipline, time management, anything around that. It taught me how to do things that you don't want to do, waking up at 5 a.m. every single day in the winter, you know, doing morning practices, doing night lifts, doing film 3 hours a day. So in a sense, it was very overwhelming. It was very time consuming. I didn't feel like I had time for anything else. It took up about, during season, 70, 80 hours of my week, off season, 80, 90 hours of my week easily here. And it was all the time during the summer. But like what I kind of said, how it taught me as a leader, kind of what it did, are right there. And then also I'd say the biggest thing with being an athlete in a college campus and what Grand Valley's done now, since I've stopped playing, is the whole mental aspect of being an athlete. I don't think what it really takes out of an athlete to play here, especially here football. That demand is very high. The coaches are extremely tough here, especially Grand Valley. And I wasn't used to that in high school, in a sense. It really wears on you mentally. You know, a lot of us went through different times where we lost parents or different stuff like this. And with me, I really struggled with anxiety and depression and stuff like that. You know, you kind of wake up at 5 a.m., you go vomit on the turf at 6:30, you go to class, you go back, you vomit again at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for weights, and that was kind of how it was. You know, you were cussed out, I don't know, 20, 30 times a day easily in that kind of sense. But in a sense, it made you a lot mentally tougher, but in time, it really broke you. And I would say it wasn't really till my sophomore year that it officially completely broke me. And I was completely depressed, had to be completely highly medicated, taken out of school for a few weeks, had to move back home. Didn't think I was gonna make it back here. That was a tough time in my life, but looking back now, I'm completely grateful for it. I learned a lot through that. I would say it was an episode, as the doctors call it in a sense. Learning about myself, kind of realizing what I wanted to get out of life, and realizing that there was a lot more that I wanted to do. But I continued to play with football, kind of took a different mindset with it, in a sense. So what kind of ended up happening, and kind of I'm going to talk a lot about what this program's done for me and just a few other things like that. But it wasn't really until my junior year, I was on the field a little bit playing for football, not as much as I would have liked. Knew the NFL completely out of the door, and I knew that I needed to focus on a few other things. So by this time, it's my junior year, I was pretty focused in school, doing well in school. Ended up getting an internship offer at Whirlpool, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and decided that actually a year ago from today that I was going to be done playing football. So went into my coach's office, middle of spring ball, told him I wasn't going to play practice, or wasn't going to go off of practice that day, I was done playing. He wouldn't shake my hand or do anything, and it was not good at all. But I was extremely blessed here to play for 3 years, especially for the scholarship and the funding in that sense, but was completely relieved. I've been relieved of that, just mentally, I'd say, for the past year, and just really being able to, especially just lose all that weight. I play offensive line, and then just kind of be able to focus on other things was really important for me. So that was kind of the end of my football career, and decided to take the internship. That was the reason I couldn't play football. I wasn't allowed to do an internship and play football at the same time because my internship was an hour south, and it required me to be there for 12 weeks, or else I couldn't potentially get a full-time offer, and football required my entire summer to be here. So I decided to leave, and life after football for me has been very good. I've been able to be a lot more involved in the community, be a lot more involved in my work and my classes, and just my peers in general. So a little bit about this program, it kind of what led me, I would say, in a sense. I know I'm talking about football a lot, but it has been a big part of my college career. And to stop playing football, in a sense, is that I actually got into this program my sophomore year. I got recommended by my Live 100 professor my first semester. His name was Professor Clark. I had no idea what this program was, decided to interview, did the application, decided to get in, had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. But it's completely kind of set up the next few years of my life, I'd say from a career-wise, and just from a personal-wise too. With that, I've been able to meet a lot of fellows, especially my sophomore year, that have then connected me to the business world. Ella Fritzmeyer reached out to me last year, got me an interview for Whirlpool, which has been where I got an internship and received a full-time offer. I've had a mentor here named Dan Hurwitz who really connected me in the community, hooked me up with different nonprofit organizations. And then my mentor, Paul Jones, this year, used to be a VP at Steelcase, and that's now where I currently work during the school year for the next few months. I'd also say that other things that have really helped have just been the wheelhouse talk. I remember the CEO of Steelcase, James Keating, came in, I think it was last year, came in and talked, and then the independent initiatives. If you haven't applied for one, I would highly, highly recommend it. I didn't have the financials to be able to ever go study abroad. I could never with it with football, but at this time last year, I wasn't playing football, and it was really, I had a very short gap before my internship started to be be able to go over to Europe, and I never really had that chance, and I needed those credits, so I did an independent initiative, and the Hauenstein Center, Chad, and everybody was very grateful and giving me such a great amount of sponsorship and being able to go over there, and that was an extremely amazing trip. So I do truly appreciate that. The rest of it, kind of like what I've been saying, is I remember my freshman year when I got this application, I didn't really realize what it was, and it wasn't really until my parents really highly pushed me to then actually fill out the application and continue with it. And I would say if I didn't, I mean, for me, I don't know if it's like this for everybody, but it really set up in a sense my career. And just taking that advantage of that opportunity to be able to say, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna really connect with other fellows. A lot of us, I mean, not everyone in here is business. A lot of you guys are BMS, nursing, whatever it might be, anything like that. But at that time when I was a sophomore, there were a lot of people who were business too, and they really kind of took me under their wing, kind of like teaching me like what it really took to, get that high internship, get that high career job in a sense. Especially coming out of Grand Valley, it really set me up for an internship and career. Now kind of going into leadership and kind of what I've actually learned in this program and that I'm really going to try to take away from anything, is that the biggest thing that when people ask me what the biggest leadership skill that I've learned, which it's not really a skill, I always say that serving others is the biggest skill that I've learned. But one of the ones, especially with being in business, the biggest one that I can personally say is saying hello or saying hi to someone. Especially when you're kind of in the corporate world. I worked with the Steelcase, there's 10,000 different employees there. And you kind of feel like you're just a very small person in a very big organization. And I'd say the same goes at school. Student College of Business is huge. All it means is 26,000 people here. So my biggest thing that I've taken away is just saying hello. You never really know what someone's going through during their day. We don't know. I kind of have our core group of friends who we'll talk to. But nowadays, a lot of people are usually always on their phone, head down, walk past everybody, and I've really tried to excel last year especially, just kind of being able to, if you walk past someone you don't know, and it's just kind of you and them in the hallway, and not saying be like weird and stuff, but like, just saying hello, not like starting up a whole conversation or anything, but just kind of being genuine in a sense like that. Some other things I've learned is self-reflection. I think that's really important. And whether you do self-reflection at night, in the morning, or kind of when you work out, or however that really helps me in kind of being able to regroup. Life can be really stressful. We're all really busy with school, extra activities and stuff like that. So however your self-reflection is, whether it's just kind of going to the rec and sweating, or just kind of taking a little bit of personal time, I think it's really important. I'd say showing appreciation, which then reflects with communication, is also extremely important. A lot of us, especially group projects or anything, it's kind of like we're always trying to get the next thing done in a sense. It's like there's always something next and next and next. I think we really struggle with sometimes. It's like once we actually finish something, or once we did something that we didn't think that we could, kind of reflecting back, and if there's other people who helped you get there, showing your appreciation towards them. I think that goes a long way, and if anything, it's just going to motivate them to continue to do better. And for me in business, that is extremely important. It's something that I've had managers that haven't preached that haven't done that I think it's something that they could have done better, but I'm not a manager, obviously. Having a manager that really shows you appreciation, it kind of can change your whole mood. If you're having a bad day and they say like, oh, you're doing a great job on this. There's always going to be times when there's times for corrections or stuff like that. But when you do succeed, I think it's really important, even if it's not yourself, but others below you or others above you, to show them that and to actually speak that into words. And then obviously leading by example. And then I don't know if this would actually fall with leadership, but this is one thing that I've always tried to preach to younger people and myself, and will always continue to do, is trying to be the dumbest, I call it trying to be the dumbest person in the room, in a sense, because if you think about it, we don't build leadership without other people. We build leadership from what people tell us, and we learn leadership from how other people act and how they evolve. And if we're going to build leadership, and if we want to be a good and successful leader, we want to be around people who are really intelligent, people who are really outgoing, people who really are passionate, appreciative, and everything like that, because then we're going to become a better leader from them. So then when there's other people looking to be better leaders, or looking who are younger, who are not any sense like that, we can be the best role model, we can be the best leader that we can possibly try to be, to to be able to bring that down to them so then they can continue that cycle. Lastly, I kind of made up a list of what I think are some of the most important laws, I call them laws, of leadership in a sense, and kind of things that I've taken away on my 4 years here in college, and what I really will try to keep doing as I move further in my career and just personally too, and whether I start a family or anything in the future like that. I'd say the first thing is that successful people in life are more appreciative, laugh more, and have more fun, which I think is extremely relatable nowadays. You know, I think we all get really stressed out, and we all try to be really successful. But if we're not really having fun with what we're doing or anything, I mean, I know studying for 10 hours isn't fun or anything like that. But if we are appreciative for what we're doing, if we really realize the opportunity that we have, if we really realize how grateful we are, we're gonna have more fun with it, we're gonna laugh more, the other people around us are gonna enjoy being around us more. Success means you get better problems. I think this is really relatable because just like once you graduate, if you're in BMS, you graduate from your undergrad, have fun in med school. It's gonna be a lot harder. like for anything in life, it's gonna get a lot harder. But when life gets a lot harder, that means you're doing something right. If you're doing the same thing 5 years from now, that means you're probably not too successful, if I'm being honest. If you want to be successful, start with a service mindset. I think this is probably my favorite one, especially with being a leader. The older we get, the more people we're going to be leading. There's going to be more people looking up to us. If we're not looking at them first and trying to get the best out of them, we're not going to be getting the best out of ourselves. And I think that is extremely important. I've always preached wake up earlier than you think early is. I used to wake up for football at 5 a.m. and it was the absolute worst thing in my life. I absolutely hated it. It was cold. It was the middle of January and February, and I knew I was literally getting ready to go die at the football center. It sucks. But now, 1 year out of football, you know, I used to like sleep in till 10 or anything, and then I changed that after a month pretty quick. And now that's when I can really take that time, you know, when you're not really around a lot of people, to really think about, you know, like how am I gonna go about this day, in a sense. And it's not just like even more the self-reflection. For me, it's almost the productivity that you can get done that then leads into you having a great day. So for me, I've always thought, you know, I thought 7 a.m. was early, I thought 6 a.m. was early. Now I wake up at 5:30 every morning, either go work out, do homework, read something, look at Twitter, I don't know, do something that I can then find, Twitter's right now, that's an example, but then, but something that I can find to be very successful, then moving into the rest of the day. I've read a lot of articles, and Ben Parcells posted some great stuff on LinkedIn too, about how waking up is extremely beneficial early, especially like in young professionals' careers, and just being able to take that time of self-reflection and learning something that maybe it's just not in your class, but kind of going above and beyond in a sense. Next one is, people do their best work when they are part of a great organization. It's completely true. If you look at this organization, I mean, most of us are pretty smart people. You know, we're surrounded around great people who do their best in whatever departments that they are in here at Grand Valley. And the longer you're in that, the better people that you're going to be around who are going to push you to be better too. Without good finance, you fail. I'm a finance major, so I had to put this one on here. But it is true in a sense. You know, I think a lot of us, I think money is something that is really important. I think it's something that can really stress a lot of people out wherever you are in life. So for me, without good finance, that means the more stress that it's going to bring into your life. So if you start young, if you read, if you learn about it, the quicker you can, the better that you're going to be later in your life when life's going to get a lot busier. And then lastly, it generally takes a lot longer to make something great happen than people think. I think this might be my second favorite one. I'm not sure, but this one's really good. You know, whether it's a project or anything that might be going on, you know, an exam, or you know, getting into med school, you know, getting into that grad school, anything like that. A lot of people, I'd say now, especially with social media, you think it's a lot easier than it actually is. You know, you'll see people getting into Michigan med school, I don't know how, or anything like that, stuff like that. I don't know how they do it. But it's almost like they just did it, you know, in a sense. And I don't think we really realize how much work and and how much time, how much effort it takes into actually making some accomplishments and actually reflecting on that in a sense. So a lot of us think it can just happen overnight in a sense, and that we're going to get this great outcome, we're going to finish this big project, we're going to get that great grade in a sense. But it takes a lot longer than I think we really realize. Even if you think back, 4 years ago, you know, you think, oh, getting into Grand Valley wasn't that hard. Like it took literally 12 years of schooling to get into Grand Valley if you came in here after high school. Like it took us 4 years to get our undergrad. It might feel like a few weeks ago or a year ago or something, but it literally took us 4 years to get our undergrad or master's or whatever it might be. That's it. Thank you.
Questions for Guerin?
What's up?
So you wake up at 5:30. What time do you go to bed and do you take naps? That's what I'm like that's so early.
I do not take naps. I'm not a promoter. I took naps freshman year. I took naps during football when I played. I don't know. I probably go to bed at like 11:30. I drink a lot of coffee. It just kind of depends. You know, like some nights I might crash at 10. Some nights it might be 11:30. Some nights it might be 12. But I don't really have a set time when I go to bed. That's it.
That's only like 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah. I don't know. I've done pretty well. It took, well, I would say it really took me like a month and a half to actually get like adjusted to it. I don't know if it's healthy, but
Like 6 to 7.
It's not a question, but I really enjoyed your last slide of laws specifically, like that, like with success you have more problems because so many of us think like, oh, if I was just like this person or like achieved this goal or did this thing, then like everything would be like easier, like then I'll be fine. And it's like,
yeah.
no, it's just like you always have like trials and tribulations of some kind, and like you gotta learn to like go through them. And I also liked the last one that it takes time because if you go like, oh my gosh, so and so got into a key school like that, and like everyone wanted him, but no one like wants me. And so it's not. You don't know like the perspective of other people and like how long you're really good. So thank you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Just thank you for sharing everything. Talking about depression and anxiety, I'm sure it cannot be easy for all of us, especially when you're like, I was a big college football player. I played on the O-line. My brother was a O-line. He played college football too, and so I know it's not something people talk about, especially in college athletics. So thank you for opening up about that. It's really important.
Thank you. So.
This is just about the football team in general. So you said that they're like getting better at like helping students with their mental health on the team?
Yeah.
Or like how is that going?
Yeah, so Grand Valley, actually this year, one of my best friend's girlfriends started, it's called Lakers Listen. And it's mandatory for freshmen, all freshmen now, at least for football it is, and women's lacrosse, men's basketball. I don't know about the rest of sports, that's all I've heard so far. But they meet every single Monday morning, and they actually have certified counselors, and they now have certified counselors in the athletic buildings because of how many student athletes have struggled with depression or anxiety or anything like that. And all those freshmen are required to meet with them. I think it's once a month in a sense, and then they have weekly meetings every single week on Mondays, where students come in and they've started sharing they do a lot of different blogs about kind of their trials and what they've gone through and stuff like that. So they share different ones every week. And I wasn't a student athlete when we started making it, but I have a lot of friends who go to it and they really enjoy it. So,
I know that quitting football kind of opened a lot of doors for you, but I imagine it would kind of be hard to like cut off a lot of those relationships, like with your coaches and with your fellow players. Like, is there a way that you found additional supports after that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it hurt my. The relationships with my coaches I was completely fine to leave that. That's. From a peer standpoint, I was kind of at a very unique time. I'd say I have about 8 core guy friends from the football team who I'm still best friends with today with. 4 of them, so I quit a year ago from today. 4 of them quit the semester before me. They were all struggling with personal things and like that. Most of us were offensive linemen. So I was still close with them. And then the rest of my house, I'd say now, I live with 3 other football guys. 2 of them quit. One is still playing. Yeah, one's still playing here. It was weird at first, you know. I had 100 really good friends on the team and stuff like that, you know, around them all the time. Then it's like things change, you know. I was more focused, especially at that time, about losing weight, kind of like what the heck am I gonna do next year, getting ready for my internship in a sense. So I'd say that was really a standpoint of time too, where I could just kind of like focus on something other than football, which I don't think football took up all my time, so I didn't really realize how much stuff I really had to like get in line and get my life straight. I was gonna be like a regular student, like, and just kind of like what's gonna come the next year. But I don't know, it was a very unique, I'd say I lost some friends from it in the sense just of like not, you know, I don't talk to them every day. I feel like now they're probably just more acquaintances, and I'm probably just friends with them through football. But I'd say it really grew my friendship with my friends who's either like my best friends today who either still play football or don't.